Hi, welcome to the next episode of the Author's Way podcast, a journey to finding your voice. Today we have with us Cathryn Marshall. She is a business owner, entrepreneur, writer, author, and we're going to have a great time talking to her today. But first, just to remind you, this podcast is sponsored by Wright. We help business professionals and entrepreneurs to raise their professional profiles by writing and publishing their books and getting their words out into the world. So let's get started. Welcome, Cathryn.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'm so excited to have you. Here is the first interview. And I want to first just let everyone know how much I hate this woman. I'll tell you that there is really a lot to hate about her. She's energetic. She's a business owner. She's smart. She's successful. So, nothing to hate there. Of course, I'm kidding. She and I have been friends for how long? How long now, Cathryn?
Over 20 years.
Over 20. Oh my gosh, a long time.
Long enough to really grow to probably hate each other on some level.
Yes. So Cathryn is great. I have worked with Cathryn in a lot of different levels. She was years ago, actually not that long ago, has been my personal trainer over the years. We have worked together on a couple of different books over the years, and we'll be talking about those in a few minutes. Worked with her in the capacity of a coach, and we'll talk a little bit about her coaching business. So just introduce yourself, Cathryn. Tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. Well, yes, I guess I would say I'm an entrepreneur above and beyond all things. When I think about who am I, author, speaker, consultant, business coach, I wear a lot of hats, and people say, how do you get it all done? And I guess I just get up and I go. And I think, every morning I say, how can I serve? How can I best do a great job to help people get what they want? So, I love results. I really love results.
Nice. So I want to talk to you a little bit today about your books, and then we'll talk about your company as well. So I have all three of your books. Yes, Cathryn has 3 books out there. So the first one is Simple Fat Burn. So this was created about 6 years ago, 2014. Yes. So this was your first published book, right? Yes. So tell us just a little bit about this one.
Yeah. Well, I came from a background of many years in personal training, building personal training teams, selling personal training, being a personal trainer. And Simple Fat Burn was really born from the need of helping people understand the nutrition behind it in a very simple format that would get them immediate results. So, we had lots of people come in that wanted to lose weight, get fit, and you can't do it without the nutrition. So there was just a real need for a book.
Yes, and it's a great book. So your next book is called Virtual Wealth: How to Create Revenue and Amazing Relationships. And this is the book. Love the cover on this book. The design on this book is fantastic. Tell us a little bit about this one.
Well, again, the need for business owners to understand some concepts that would hopefully help them have way more time, more joy and bliss within their business, and make way more money. So I've always been very big into productivity hacks. I'm huge on delegation and systems, but just to really teach some concepts through story format, through things that they could understand, that they can put into place immediately to make their life a little bit easier. So a lot of joy in probably, my entire life I've been in business. So just things that I've learned over the years that I wanted to share.
Awesome. So both of these books are available on Amazon, right? Yes. So for the audience, go out and check these books out on Amazon and buy them and write reviews. Reviews are golden for book authors. They really help to promote the books, and they help other people to kind of see the value of the books that are out there. So always encourage people to write reviews. So your third book has actually been around a little bit longer. This is a book you really use with your program, right?
Yeah, so Simple Fat Burn, it's a book, it's a program, it's a way of life. And it was actually the first book that I ever wrote. And there was a need for the training clients to keep a food journal. So we combined the fat burning recipes with the food journal. So that book is solely for use within the Simple Fat Burn virtual health program. But the neat thing is the beginning of that book explains the nuts and bolts of weight loss. I'd have someone come in and say, oh gosh, I'm off track. I went back and read the beginning of that journal. I'm down 4 pounds this week. So some just really gets into the nitty gritty of the biology and chemistry, and then the tools that they need, the actual food list that will help them burn fat fast and make it last.
Awesome. Awesome. And I will tell you the concepts that you talk about in your Simple Fat Burn books, as well as the concepts that you talk about in Virtual Wealth, are so incredibly valuable. And one of the things that I have enjoyed the most about them is they're so practical. They're, you have a way of creating like really practical steps that people can take to get results very quickly. And I love that about your books, and I love that about your programs. So tell us a little bit about your journey. So and you can include anything you want with your business, or just through the journey to getting to the point where you found that it was the right thing to do to now write a book. I think that's something that a lot of authors think about. They think about, is it the right time for me? Do I have the right information to share with people? So tell us a little bit about the journey that kind of took you to that process.
Yeah, I think there was a need inside me to help more people. And I think that all of the emotions that we go through to decide, is it time for me to write a book right now? And, quite frankly, there's a time where it's not right. Maybe you're doing too much, or you're spread too thin, or you don't have the resources, or you're just not there yet. And it's quite an emotional process. But I knew I had a book in me, and it's like you're having this birthing this baby or something coming out of you that has to get out of you. And it's the need to help people on a bigger level. Sold 4,000 copies of Simple Fat Burn, really without even trying. And the truth is, I listened to one of the largest authors of our lifetime, Lisa Scottolini, speak, and she said, you got to market your book. You got to market your book. You got to market your book. And I listened to her when I was going through the process, the early stages of the process of writing Simple Fat Burn. So what did I do? I started to market the book before the book was published. I started to talk about it on social media. Now, given that I had this burning desire to help more people, I heard the definition of an entrepreneur is someone who takes an idea, a concept, and takes personal responsibility to help more people, the masses, with something they know to be truth. Right? Who in their right mind would sign up to be an entrepreneur? It's not like going to a job and punching a clock. It's never ending, and it's not for everybody, to say the least. But you've really got to put yourself out there. You've got to get through the emotions of someone may not like the book. You may get a bad review. Well, you've got to be emotionally resilient enough to handle that, and you probably will get some bad reviews, and you'll have to wrestle with that. But at the end of the day, it is a need to help more people and to go much, much, much bigger with something that's going to live on long after you do. When you're actually ready to write that book, you'll have a knowingness that you're just ready to do it. And that was just inside me, and it still is.
Awesome. So how did you, when you got ready to start your first book, or even your second book, how did you get started? How did you get there? What were the steps that you took?
Great question. Number one, I made a true 100% commitment to writing the book, whatever that book is, and knowing the topic, that I had to get this message out to anyone other than myself. So I made the commitment. Number one, I said, I'm gonna write the book. And then I set a timeline. It took me a year to write the first book. And I said, I'm going to get this book done. And when I wrote the second book, it took me about a year to get the book done. Now, it doesn't take actually a year of time on task. We have a lot of off time, a lot of downtime, a lot of stuck time, a lot of like, I didn't figure this part out. Then I made a checklist. Now, when I made the checklist, I put in things like, okay, get your chapters done. Get help. You've been my right-hand girl. I think when I wrote the first copy, the first edition of the food log and recipe book, I don't think there were recipes in there. I think it was just a food log. And I had this friend of mine, she was a client, Corrine she was the first one. She said, I'll help you with it. I'll help you with the formatting. I'll help you with the content. I'll help you with some editing. And pretty soon and then I had to find a printer and I had to figure out the cost and I had to figure out a cover. So I made a checklist of all of the components of the things I thought I would. And then if I was missing a step, I just put that into the checklist. And so I had a commitment, a checklist, and a deadline. Now, maybe I missed the deadline, then I reset the deadline. It didn't matter. At least I had a target to get the book done. And then I would talk to people about it. I said, I'm writing a book. And I can't wait. So I made a list of people who wanted the book. So it was like a pre-sale list. I'd say, put me down. I want a book. So I'm actually writing another book now on friendship. And every time I talk about the friendship book, people are like, oh, put me down the list. I want a copy. I want the first copy of that. I want that, I want to get a copy when you have it. I want one for my father or my son or my kid, or I need the book, right? But you've got to build the energy and the excitement. I think that's the part that people get stuck on too. Because the more I would talk about the book, I was like, well, I've told these people I'm going to get this book done. Now I got to get something done. Because nothing takes that much time. It's actually just doing it.
That's awesome. So you have a little bit of accountability there with all of these people asking you about the book. So you can't not do it. Yeah.
Right. When I was writing Simple Fat Burn, my mentor at the time, Joyce, would say, how's the book coming? And then after a few months, she'd say, do you want me to keep asking? And I said, yes, keep asking. And I'd be like, well, it's coming. Maybe I didn't get anything done this month or this week, but it's coming. So, we build the momentum. We get other people involved that get excited about the book. That helps you get through the sticking points of, maybe you got 4 covers, you didn't like any of them, and you just don't know what to do next, right? Once you write one book, though, you know the path. It's like I used to be a fitness competitor. Once you've done one competition, your body knows the path. You know what you have to do to get on stage and win. It's just a process.
I think I remember, especially with Simple Fat Burn, you had a few practices that you used. I believe, if I remember right, you had some writing partners. You had some people that you would sit and write with.
Yes. Yeah. And I always called it knees to knees or side by side, or people that I would sit down and like every Thursday, Mary Lynn and I would meet and we would sit down. She would write her book. I would write my book. I worked with Chase Carey ongoing when I was writing Simple Fat Burn. He was finishing up a book. I was probably midway or on the early stage of my book, but we'd get together and we'd take 2 or 3 hours and we'd talk a little tiny bit, but we just sat down and we got a massive amount of content out writing our book. Because let's face it, you've got to get the content out of you somehow. And that's where a lot of people get stuck. They just can't get all the content out, or they're stuck on that last chapter. But if you sit down with someone, and the only thing we're going to do here is we're going to be quiet together and support each other in this process. I've had a few writing partners that were wonderful.
I love that practice. I have done that myself. You and I have done that some. Just to sit, and it doesn't have to be working sessions or anything like that. It's just sitting together and being productive and writing. And I really like that as a practice. And I think that's something that a lot of people could employ to be productive and get those words on paper. So I love that. Are there any other practices that you have found to work very well for you?
Well, Jennifer, I do have to say the 2 writing retreats that you and I did to really crank out the core of the book, where we got into really organizing the chapters. We already had some content, but the way that you did those retreats, where you got all of the different topics and you made all these Post-its and put them up all over the wall and the windows, and like that, those 2 times that we did that were critical. So we took those probably 2 or 3 days away and slept in and had some wonderful, amazing food. And I believe there was some chocolate and wine involved, but they were just magical times that we were so productive. And then it was like, yeah, we can just get this done. So those two separate times, I think were critical to really producing a #1 best-selling book that hit #1 in distance and online learning on Amazon without any advertising, virtual wealth. We hit 14,000, a ranking of 14,000 out of 40 million books, which is insane, within 3 days of self-publishing. And that was done through social media. And what I think people really need to hear is there was zero advertising spent on this book to have a #1 bestseller ranking.
Right. It's all about process and just getting your words out there, getting the information out there to your network and encouraging your network to share it with their network.
Yeah, and I think too, there was a sort of, again, before the book ever came out, I was putting up teasers. I was talking about it. People knew there was a book coming. They were excited about it. So that once it was published, so many people went and bought. So do you know that #1 bestseller ranking was based on sales, not reviews? There weren't any reviews yet. So I think a lot of people don't understand what category they're in. They don't understand how it works. I didn't understand how it worked. And I was in complete surprise. I wouldn't say completely surprised. I knew that we had a #1 bestseller based on the content, based on the network. And two, it's so interesting how networking ties together, because you can write the best book in the world, but who's going to read it? Who's going to read your book? Who's going to read your work? Whether it's one person or 100 people or 500 people or 5,000 or 50,000, I don't think it matters. I believe your legacy is every single person you will ever help on this planet.
That's a great way to put it. I love that. So what would you say are the biggest benefits that you've seen out of getting your books done, getting them published, getting them out to your audience?
Oh, that's a great question, because it is a complete and total game changer for your business. Meaning, when I first got Simple Fat Burn out there, I will never forget the first time someone shook my hand and said, "Oh, you wrote the book that I read. How wonderful to meet you. Your book changed my life." And I was like, wow, I was just taken aback. I mean, the personal reward was insane. And then when I met someone shortly thereafter who said, "Oh, you must be the Simple Fat Burn girl. What's your name?" And I was like, wow. So how has this changed? I will tell you, even yesterday, I had left brunch down in Buckhead, and this Rolls Royce pulls up, and this couple comes out, and the woman goes over to the restaurant. Then she walks back and she starts talking to me. She knows me. She knows I had no idea who she was. I still don't. But, becoming a published author, it gets you speaking events that you might have had to really work to get, because people know you, they know your book. They can see online that you're a published author. They can see you've had the courage. Someone said to me, my friend David said the other day, the things that you've done have been really courageous to put yourself out there that way. And the courage to publish a book and to put yourself out there on social media and to speak and to share what you know to be truth. It's a complete and total game changer in terms of a credibility card with your business.
I love that. That's such a great point about the credibility. And I think it really helps to raise the profile of people that are it. And it is a brave thing to do. Anytime you're putting yourself out there in the world like that, it's brave, but it's so worth it. There's so many benefits of doing that. So tell us a little bit about what else you've got going on. What have you got going on next? What's your next big project?
Next big project. So I love online courses, and I am right now creating an online course all about how to create your irresistible offer. going into teaching the nuts and bolts to get people to opt in, whether it's a free giveaway, whether it's a networking event, whether it's your program or your product, but really teaching people the nuts and bolts of how to create an irresistible offer. So it's a masterclass that'll be coming up. It's a free masterclass. So I'm in the throes of, I'm actually teaching on it tomorrow, a live masterclass on it, a workshop that's about 3.5 hours long. So super excited about that. Lots of speaking events coming up, and just really, really thrilled to help business owners through courses and mastermind really grow their business, double their revenue. You know, what we found is when people show up in a program that they're really working the program, many of them are able to double their income and more within 12 months because it's skill set combined with mindset. So a lot of joy in teaching, a lot of joy in sharing the wisdom of what I've learned over the years, a lot of joy in hosting all of the networking events that we have with our VIP network. And I think just the mission is to, again, continue with that legacy to help as many people get healthy, be healthy, and be successful as possible.
Awesome. I am so excited about this new course that you're creating. And if you want to get me the link, I'll drop it into the video. I'll drop it into the information about the podcast, and we'll make sure that people have the ability to access that if they're interested. So
yeah, actually people can contact me through my website, through cathrynmarshall.com. So we can share that, and they can go right on there and they can just request that they are interested in the Irresistible Offer Masterclass, and we'll make sure we get them on the list to attend that free class.
Awesome. That'd be great. So I often encourage authors to make sure that if they want to write books, that they make sure they're reading books, because it's really, really important to sort of understand what you like, because what you like, you're going to be more encouraged to write that type of book. It also gives you a chance to sort of understand what information other people are putting out there. So for you, what is a book, or even if you have a couple of books that you've read over the years that have really influenced you?
Yeah, I'm going to start with one of the earliest books that influenced me. One of the earliest books was called The Secret Door to Success by Florence Scovel Shinn, Schinn. So The Secret Door to Success, it's an old book written way back in the early 1900s. And it's all about the law of attraction. It is about, really putting yourself and your mindset in circumstances to manifest exactly what you want. And there are stories in there, like there was a woman who wanted a diamond ring. And so she went to the store, she tried on diamond rings, and it was in her consciousness. And pretty soon a friend of hers gifted her a beautiful diamond ring. So that book I read over and over and over again early on in my career. Another author I loved was The 4-Hour Workweek. I think that was one of the pivotal books for me, because what the 4-Hour Workweek, it's not about actually working a 4-hour workweek. It's about having freedom within your business. And I remember when I read that book, I said, wow, I don't have a bit of this yet, but I'm going to. And I really got inside the concepts. And so I've really been able to build a life of freedom within a business that generates plenty of free time, lots and lots of fun and joy. And I can do as much or as little, and I continue to grow multiple streams of revenue. And if that's not fun to teach, I don't know what is. And one more book I want to share. A huge fan of ClickFunnels, Russell Brunson. Current book, probably anything Russell Brunson, but particularly Expert Secrets, and understanding that, as an entrepreneur, what we're creating is a movement. It's a movement, and it's a way of being, a way of life. I'm always going into virtual wealth is really about wealth being, your health, your social relationships, your mindset. It's about your finances. It's about your spiritual development and how you're living in the world, right? Wealth is not just about money, but virtual wealth, there are no boundaries. That's what the word virtual is. There are no boundaries. We know what it is, but it's not clearly defined because it's virtual. There's no ceiling on this. So I would say those are the books that really helped me in terms of I became obsessed. And when I say obsessed, obsessed with scaling, going from one to one to one to many, learning how to create sometimes very high ticket offers, but also offers that really are going to feed your soul and your bank account, right? So I would say those were just some books. I have read probably thousands of books. I am that author who really believes you need to keep reading. You need to keep learning. You need to get cutting edge information for your tribe and your people and your programs. So I'm never not reading.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So thank you so much for joining today. You have shared some great information, and just sharing your energy, I think is fantastic too. I appreciate that. I think the audience will as well. Is there anything before we wrap up, anything else you'd like to share?
Just that I would say that people are your connection. So never forget that. Don't hold back on putting yourself out there. You are your best marketer, right? Everyone says, how can I hire someone and delegate it? I have always done all of my own marketing. Yes, get help on your team. Absolutely. But don't hold back on putting yourself out there. If there's I tell you what, one podcast like this can completely change your life. Completely. The doors that will open are insane, and it should all be fun. So don't hold back. Just keep putting it out there. Go out and help some people get what they want.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So again, her two books are Virtual Wealth and Simple Fat Burn. Hold them up so you can see them. They're both available on Amazon. So go out, purchase them. I do have to say, even though I did help with them, they are two of the best books I've read. The concepts out there are just phenomenal, very, very helpful books. And so I encourage you to go check them out. If you purchase them, be sure to leave a review. Reviews are great. So thank you so much, Cathryn Marshall. And thank you to the audience for tuning in to the early stages of my podcast. This is only the second episode, so I am really looking forward to more episodes and to seeing you again. Thank you.
Thank you.